flavours of the world with Viking.TV for Viking Cruises. I'm Catherine Fulvio. I'm here in Ireland and I want to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Normally for Christmas here in Ireland we have roast turkey and a beautiful glazed ham, but I want to show you an alternative, and it's the Italian inspiration in the family that's coming to the fore here, because here I have a porchetta which I'm doing with the lovely fennel and citrus. It's going to be just gorgeous. So this cut of meat in particular here, this is the pork belly bone out, but the loin is still in. This is going to be juicy and so flavoursome. We're going to slow cook it and serve it with a really rich port and red wine jus. Now let's start flavouring our beautiful porchetta. So first of all, we want to score. So to score, you have your skin here and you need a good sharp knife, and we're just going to go diagonal in like that, cut in nicely right down into the fat. And the reason that we score is we want the skin to crisp up. We want what we call crackling. So that's really crispy skin. So by scoring it like this, what actually happens is you allow the fat to come out and the skin even to crisp up. Here we go. So cut right in. You need a really good sharp knife for this. Okay, now I'm going to move around. Being a left-handed person, have to move it so I can get at it. And now we're going on the diagonal. Now, let me wash my hands and then I want to go ahead and make the flavour for the top. The flavouring from the top of the pork is absolutely gorgeous. It's a dry rub and I'm putting in fennel seeds, which I absolutely love. They bring sweetness to the dish. And of course, we want earthiness in the form of rosemary, and both of these complement pork so very well. So this is my pestle and mortar, and all I'm going to do is just crush. Oh my goodness, the smell is gorgeous. I'm absolutely in love with the aroma of the fennel and the rosemary together. It just brings your senses alive. Now we do need some nice salt in there, and I'm just going to give that a little mix around again. Salt really helps the pork crisp up. Now all you have to do is rub this on the skin of the meat. So what we do is we get it on like this. And rub it in. What you want to do is you want to allow the flavours here to infuse into the skin of the pork. So you rub it in and then you just leave this back in the fridge for a little while just for those flavours to infuse, and we can get on with making the stuffing then. Right, to the fridge. This filling or stuffing makes all the difference to the pork. What we're going to do is we're going to cook off some onion first of all. So we finely chopped onion, get your pan on, get a nice bit of oil in there, right? Olive oil, of course. And when that heats up, we pop the onion in. Now the flavours in this stuffing, it's about cooked onion, which is sweetness. Then we're going to add in our pork and garlic. The pork is going to bring a richness to the stuffing. But then we're also going to zest our oranges and our lemons, which are going to cut right through and lift the whole dish, so that when you slice open your porchetta later, you get the surprise of this delicious stuffing inside. It's really important to cook them until they're glassy or see-through. We want them to be beautifully sweet. It's really going to enhance the dish if we give the onions time to cook. That's why there's plenty of steam coming out here, and I'm keeping an eye on them by stirring them. And if I need to, I'll turn the gas down. This would not be an Italian dish without garlic, of course. So in goes our garlic, and we just cook that out literally for just a minute. Smells so good. Now, here's the richness coming in. We have minced pork, and in that goes, and we just let that break up. And this is a key part of our stuffing. Don't forget to season as you go. Nice bit of salt, bit of pepper. So what we want to do now is cook out the pork fully. We want it fully cooked, and then we turn off the heat. This has to be completely cold before we continue with making the stuffing. And that's it. Our meat is now done. Just turn off your heat now, remove it, let it cool completely, and then we make our stuffing. Okay, it's lovely and cool now, and in it goes. So now, to make the stuffing, this is our base: onion, pork, garlic. But here we have a little bit of sourdough breadcrumbs, and this is going to bring a nice kind of a bite to it. You can, of course, use ordinary breadcrumbs, but I do like the sourdough. And it's a great way to use leftovers anyway, and you don't want to be wasting food. Just to follow through on the dry rub flavours, I'm putting in a little bit of chopped rosemary and some fennel, which I just adore fennel, so happy with that now. And of course, orange and lemon go really well with fennel. So let's zest in our citrus here. And of course, you just want the actual zest, not the white pith, because the flavour's in the zest. The pith is too bitter. And now for the lemon. Perfect. Next, salt and pepper again. A little bit of seasoning. And when I have the salt and pepper in my hands, I'm going to season the meat as well. So this is our pork belly. I've just turned it over again, so give it a little bit of salt. That should do it. And a little bit of pepper. Mix up your stuffing. Okay, next we need to get the stuffing into the meat. You just got to pierce the meat a little bit, so I just use a meat fork like this. This helps the flavour just soak into the meat, and it also helps the fat from the pork belly to render out and mix with the stuffing. That's all. It's a very simple job. This is not a complicated recipe, but it looks good and it tastes good. Here's your stuffing, and now we're going to roll our meat in a minute, so we're just going to press the stuffing down like this. See? Kind of getting more on this side, less where the actual loin is. And just a little bit here. And it's sticking beautifully. It doesn't look like a lot of stuffing, but honestly, it's absolutely ample for this because it's so rich. And when it's rolled up inside the meat, it's like a little bonus when you're having your main course. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll it over. So be careful now rolling it. Just tip it over like that, you see. Try and trap it in. There we go. Honestly, that stuffing smells so good. Really, really nice. Then we have our string. So this is butcher's twine, kitchen string. It has to be safe to use with food. And you literally just string up your meat. I usually ask my butcher for the butcher's twine. So this meat is local here in County Wicklow. My local butcher, Niall, sourced this for me. This is a beautiful cut of pork. Okay, now we're going to carefully move it round so it sits like this. This is how it's going to be on our tray. And then we can tie our string. Oh, I might even it out a bit. There we go. Now, I know there's all sorts of fancy butcher's knots that you can do, but I'm a bow tie kind of girl. And after all, it's Christmas, so it'll be nice. There we go. Get this a nice tie up. I'm going to drizzle this with a bit of oil, and then it goes into the oven to slow roast. This needs a trivet. So here I have my roasting tray, and a trivet is just a fancy name for a little bit of elevation so that the meat does not touch your tray. And I've just used some carrots because of course the juice of the carrots are going to come out as well, and that'll give beautiful juice with this. So let's get our porchetta straight onto the trivet. There it goes. Right, now, I want to say to you, the reason that I rolled it up is very important because if you remember, we had a nice high piece of meat and then a really low piece. If we just roast it like that, one is going to be overcooked and the other is not going to be fully cooked. But if you roll it into one even size, we've got even cooking, and that's important. This goes into the oven for about 2.5 hours, low and slow, then crank up the heat for the last 30 minutes so you get a lovely crispy skin. Now, let me wash my hands because I want to get some oil on top. So a good lug of olive oil, of course, and this will ensure a lovely crispy skin. Now, as this cooks, do not be afraid to open the oven, get a spoon and baste the juices back over the meat to keep it lovely and moist. Remember, it's low and slow for 2.5 hours. Our oven's on and in it goes, and we let the magic happen. We need a lovely rich sauce or jus to serve with our pork. So I'm doing a red wine and port jus. And of course it's Chianti for the red wine. Why wouldn't it be? Let's start with cooking off our shallots. So we get our heat on, heat your pan, and when it's hot, then I put in the oil. So in goes just a little bit of oil. We don't want too much because there's a bit of butter that goes into this at the end for that glossy finish. So now that our oil is heating up, in go shallots. I prefer to use shallots that are a little bit sweeter for a jus. Bit of salt and pepper, give it a stir. The shallots need a good 5 minutes to soften down, so keep them on a low heat, give them a stir from time to time and just let them soften. Now that the shallots are lovely and soft, we can turn the heat up a little bit, and this is where the flavour bombs come in. We have port and we have red wine, so they both go in. Oh, there we go. And beef stock, and the reason we're putting beef stock in is adds to the richness of the dish. So in that goes. And for just that little depth of flavour, we're adding in rosemary and the earthiness of a lovely bay leaf. So in they go, and now you need to bring that to the boil, and you've got to simmer to reduce. So that's just going to take time. Time to relax. The pork is cooking. Our jus is cooking away. We can just have a cup of tea now. So now that the liquid has reduced substantially, what you have is a really deep flavour, which will work, of course, perfectly with our porchetta. But we want to make a glossy jus. So the tip is you use butter. This is good old Irish butter. So you just get your butter in and you whisk the butter in. So cold butter into the hot liquid and then just whisk the butter. And the butter emulsifies in it and gives you a lovely glossy jus. Now let's check for seasoning. Absolutely perfect. Does not need any more salt or any more pepper. Spot on. Right, time to check the pork. Ooh. And there it is, 3 hours later. Look at that, it's absolutely gorgeous. Right, you gotta leave your meat to rest for about 30 minutes. What that does is it allows the meat to relax and also for the juices to work their way back into the beautiful porchetta. So we'll come back in 30 minutes and then we can enjoy it. And here is your Christmas Day spread. We have this beautiful porchetta with fennel, rosemary and citrus with that gorgeous stuffing inside. I've also done some sprouts that I stir fried with some bacon. maple glazed, carrots always work well. And let's not forget we have this delicious port and red wine jus. So this is going to be perfect for Christmas Day. But I would say we need a wine to go with it. And in my opinion, a Chianti will work amazingly well with this dish. The reason I selected Chianti is it's from the Chianti region of Tuscany, mostly the Sangiovese grape. It's a beautiful, not overpowering red wine. It's kind of moderate in tannins, which I like with something like a porchetta or a pork dish, because you don't want something that's going to overpower the delicate flavours of the pork. The other thing about this beautiful Chianti is you get those rosemary notes, those kind of earthy tones, which pick up the lovely herbs and the fennel that we used in the dish. And of course, the acidity in this wine cuts through the fattiness of the pork, because part of this pork dish does have belly of pork. So in my opinion, this is the perfect wine to enjoy with your porchetta. So all that I need to say now is Happy Christmas, Sláinte, cheers from all of us here at Ballynockin Cookery School and Viking TV.